Hello and welcome to the Afro-Dominion Show. My name is Freeman Singirankabo, and thank you so very much for tuning into our program today. Those of you joining us live, especially if you're joining us live from our social media platforms, welcome, welcome, welcome. Huge welcome to those of you also joining us live from our television stations and radio stations. Thank you so much, guys, and apologies for such a late start. We had another program that was overlapping with this one, hence us starting up a little bit late. So apologies. Happy Friday to those of you guys, all of you following us live, and those of you who will be tuning in at later times. Very happy Friday to all of you. Today we are April 29th, 2022, and I'm super excited for this opportunity one more time to be here right in front of you guys as we talk and discuss issues, most relevant issues that we carry very deeply to our hearts, the issues that we absolutely get to speak to you all truthfully, boldly, and with no apologies. So let's get to it, guys. And frankly speaking, we will be talking to you guys in the spirit of love, truth, and trust. And these will be the benchmarks by which we would love each and every one of you guys to hold us accountable and check out everything that we discuss with you to ensure that you can actually you can see the validity and the integrity of everything we will be showing and sharing with you. A huge welcome also to all those of you who would like to be a part of the conversation. We have a Zoom session which is open. Feel free to come in. Though today we are going to have less than 1 hour of a discussion or content sharing. So if you want to be a part of the conversation, make sure that you tune in right in, especially for those of you guys who are live and who are actually following the conversation in real time as it happens. I also want to let you guys know, especially those of you joining us live for the very first time, this conversation or this program, we have it every single day, Monday through Friday specifically, from 12:30 to Eastern Standard Time, with the exception of today. As you have noticed, we started really late. But we intend to finish the conversation on time because there's another program that follows. So we do not want to be of inconvenience to the next program. So I believe we will have to just be luck next time so that everything can go accordingly. So guys, since we don't have a whole lot of time, I'm not gonna get into so much of how we normally start the conversation, except that I just want to let you guys know that all those of you guys who aren't familiar with this show, this is one of the most amazing shows that I'm so happy to participate in because it talks about our brothers, talks about our issues, the most of the issues that we've never had any opportunity to speak to you all bluntly and truthfully and openly, where each and every one of you guys can have a saying in it. So the Afro-Dominion Show, as it happens, this is one of the shows, or even the idea. It's an idea that inspires, advocates, and help and encourages each and every one of you guys to take the full dominion of Africa, one nation at a time, by you, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters of Africa, all in the interest of Africa and African people, first and foremost, and then the rest of the world afterwards. So here on this show, the program and everything we do here should literally be advocating on your behalf, brothers and sisters, especially those of you guys who are voiceless, making sure that we inspire you guys, which means this is not an exclusive show. It is for all those of you guys, all of you brothers and sisters, whatever it is that you have that can actually build us up, bring it on. And we will be more than grateful to have you sharing the content, sharing these platforms with the rest of our brothers and sisters all across the world. With that in mind, guys, what do we want to talk about today? Like I say, we're not going to talk too much into our normal intro because we don't have much of times. But just a quick, brief intro here, or a quick description of how most of our shows goes most of the time. Monday through Fridays we have different themes, and every day we have a unique theme. Mondays we talk about the refugees and eradication of refugees and stateless person. Tuesdays we talk about the Constitution law and policy review and implementations. Wednesdays, we get to talk about our history, and we get to talk about our testimonies, and we get to write our own history. Thursdays, we get to talk about the spirit of dominion, and Friday, we talk about current events and how it impacts Africa and African brothers and sisters, and hence us being here today. And what do we want to talk about today? We have a number of a few things we want to talk about, but since we don't have much time, we will just prioritize. One of the biggest topic we wanted to talk about today was the sexual assault. Since this is a sexual assault awareness month, so we wanted to talk a little bit about that, especially as it relates to Africa and African people. And then we want to check out some of the happenings throughout the weeks, especially this whole Rwandan UK deal about about bringing UK's rejects immigrants or illegal immigrants. So the topic today goes in why is it still taboo to talk about and denounce sexual assaults of our loved ones in Africa. That's literally one of the things that I really wanted to talk about to you guys. And is there such a thing as my brother or my sister's keeper when it comes to these sexual violences? And how do we get to protect them? Especially that in Africa, it seems like it's one of those viruses infesting the whole entire Africa. And what is your role and responsibility in building a better tomorrow for our brothers and sisters in Africa? And once we get to talk about that, whatever the amount of time that we may have left, I would love to come back again on these refugee issues, especially that it keeps on breaking, we keep on getting more and more details as to what's going on, which is almost like a little poison pill in our homes, in the happenings, and something that we seriously should be paying attention to. So the month of sexual assault awareness, the month of April, especially here in the United States, this is something that we remember or that we acknowledge. Sexual awareness month, where we get to talk about some of these issues of which relates to all our families, guys. Sexual violence, it's real globally. Here in the United States, it's also one of the biggest. Wars that we're fighting with. Whereas this assault, it does not care your color of skin, your gender, your status, your social status, etc. It happens to the rich and the poor. It happens to the haves and the have-nots. It literally transcends all kinds of benchmarks that we talk about. And you can imagine the United States and the so-called the First Nations. They usually have means to fight and to actually address some of these issues. But even up to this very day, they still haven't been able to address these issues, though they have actually implemented so many various ways to deal with it. Now you may be wondering, what about Africa? Which is why today I wanted to actually talk about this briefly and give it a little bit of an airtime, because it's one of those issues which it literally remains taboo amongst our brothers and sisters inside and outside of Africa. Even when you're outside of Africa, when it happens to you as a family, there is a huge stigma, especially to our sisters, to our aunties, our mothers, our grandmothers. There's always a stigma associated with it, which doesn't really help you to actually fight back. And as a society, we haven't really been doing much to address these issues. So I want to talk about this, and of course, I want to bring in my favorite nation, Rwanda, since it's my country, guys. And it's really one of those issues I think we ought to do more. We're not doing enough, guys. We're not doing enough when it comes to sexual assault of our brothers and sisters, especially our sisters in particular. because they really experience a whole lot of violence, sexual violences, really heinous things being done to them. And we don't have a platform that actually address it in a such way that it can actually be not only prosecuted to the fullest of the law that's that's on the land right now, but I believe that we have to do more. We have to do more, and it's still stigmatized amongst our sisters, especially. And oftentimes, if you're one of those victims, the society, our society, oftentimes we sort of like down, we look at you as if you are. I mean, you are almost like valueless. So we not only add the salt to the injury by literally almost outcasting you, but we don't really deal with it. Though it's 2022, we still have a long way to go, our brothers and sisters, Africans specifically, to address these sexual violences amongst our sisters and sometimes our brothers as well. So, why am I talking about it today? We have yet to have, there is always some sort of estimation as to how deep the sexual violence goes in Africa. We already know that we have one of the biggest slave trade in Africa, especially women slave trade. Girls, women, little girls, young ladies or young women, even much older women are literally trafficked, trafficked almost all the time. They're trafficking our brothers and sisters, especially, and I want to stress especially our sisters, because it's a huge, big business. They literally are meeting so much heinous experiences, sexual violence is being committed against them, against their will, and most of them are being sold to be sexual objects to a lot of male all over the world. And you know that the industry, it's a $1 billion industry, unfortunately. A lot of us males and some females, we participate into this, a whole lot of it. Oftentimes, a lot of rich people, wealthy people, buying off so many women slaves to be utilized as sexual objects all over the world. And Africa really produced a whole lot of it. Just like in Asia, they also have an influx of that. But today I want to focus on our sisters and some of our brothers as well. Why is it that we cannot address these issues? Why is it that we cannot, talk about it openly and denounce these acts? One of the reasons is because we are fully participating in it. Most of us, anyway. Not all of us African male, but the majority of Africans are participating in it. We still have yet to value our sisters, our aunties, our mothers, our grandmothers, the same way a male is valued in our society. And oftentimes we see our sisters, our mothers, our aunties as sexual objects only. And oftentimes sexual properly, and because of that, oftentimes when these crimes are being committed, we barely help them, and we get to actually push it under the rugs. And now, let alone when when governments are involved, and I'm gonna get to that in just a little bit. So, what has this been contributing to? A lot of our sisters, they commit suicide. They become MIA. They lose their own, their self-esteem. They contract all kinds of diseases, and without even mentioning how it destabilizes our families. Because if you found that the majority of our sisters, our female, they've been abused. They've been sexually abused as early as 7, 8, 9 years old. And especially if you're coming from a country that is torn by wars. Majority of these females have been already sexually assaulted, and they have yet to receive justice. And this is something, now imagine if you are sexually assaulted multiple times as a child, and you grow up with those scars unaddressed, and what happens to you when you become not just an adult, but when you become a mother, or when you reach that point where you out to be someone's wife, or if you've already been impregnated from the crimes. How do you deal with the aftermath of that? That is one of the biggest problems that we have, and a huge opportunity to address as kings and queens within Africa. Because again, I keep on stressing this out. The world is now gonna take care of our own problems. As Africans, we're gonna have to take care of our own problems primarily. We should not be focused on taking care of other people's problems before we take care of our own problems. That either suggests that you don't care enough, that we don't care enough, or we do not value ourselves enough that we can actually put aside some resources to deal with these issues. Now, I have not gathered the data throughout the entire Africa, because I want to use this as actually a homework to you guys. But one of the biggest peril that we're meeting right now is that a lot of our sisters are dying off, guys, as a result of sexual assaults. And oftentimes, unfortunately, especially in Africa, you have statesmen, government leaders, high position government leaders involved in these sexual assaults. And of course, given that they consider you as a property, they will usually push a lot of these cases under the rugs, unless you've already been torpedoed to be toppled off your positions. And unfortunately, it's been quite the trend in a lot of the nations, whereas you either are bought off or you are silenced. And if silencing you isn't working, sometimes you may end up dead. Literally, you may end up dead. There are some cases also I would talk about briefly when it comes to that, and the need to really protect our sisters, to protect our sisters, our mothers, our aunties, our grandmothers, our wives, for those who have wives, I should say, because it's really important, guys, that we get to do that ourselves. And of course, I really want to talk about the East African community, and in particular Rwanda, because that's where I'm from. I can actually give you some of the scopes from there, and it's kind of crazy because this couple of weeks, Rwanda has been actually back in the news, mainly because of this, because of this whole UK and Rwandan deal. But some of the potential negative outcome, it's these sexual violences that can potentially be committed by some of these people coming in. We understand that they've been selecting, they have already selected, some healthy young people whose backgrounds isn't publicly put out there. And one of the concerns has been, what if some of these people are sexual pedophiles coming to rape our sisters, our aunties, our mothers, our wives, our grannies? What's going to happen? Who's going to take the liability? They are already being raped. One of the things that I want you guys to check out, literally, we have something I can call it like government-sponsored rapes, where you have soldiers, police officers, military raping people publicly and taking videos as a trophy. And other times they doing that to actually to basically own you. They've been forcing, from what we have heard, some of these young people to rape some of our sisters, and they take videos. And if you actually deviate from your assignment, then they threaten to release that video so that you can face justice. So meaning they literally are committing one crime, hoping to blackmail you, to stay in check and to stay in the position where they were like you, to pretty much assume the position and do as you are told. Now, this thing, it's also being utilized by the government as an instrument of fear. Sexual violence, especially in Africa, in particular in Rwanda, has also been utilized as an instrument of fear. When you are raped, it's you pretty much become a dehumanized human being. It's you know how crazy it is. Some of these sexual violences when they're taking place, and like I say, so many videos are online, so many testimonies of our sisters from the very beginning of the war, from 1990 all the way to today. Sexual violences have been committed. Unfortunately, from some of the studies that we've conducted, unofficial, because we did it ourselves, it is claimed that at least 60 to 80% females in Rwanda have been raped. 60 to 80%. Now, that's a huge number. And some of you might be like, oh, that is not correct or that is not true. You'll be shocked. You'll be shocked. The stigma behind sexual assault in Rwanda. It is so high, guys. It is very high. And not only that, it used to be a part of what they used to call intsinzi, which means when the Rwandan Patriotic Front successfully took over the country, the rebel soldiers, they would help themselves with females. They would literally rape women, and they will call it intsinzi. It's our reward. It's for you to give us a welcome. And so, unfortunately, some of them have been, when those rapes were taking place, they were actually given or they were attributed to Interahamwe's. So there are a lot of females who were raped by the Rwandan Patriotic Front. And then the young ladies that they have raped, they were actually told to say that they were raped during the genocide. Even those who have been raped post-genocide by the RPF or the Rwandan Patriotic Front, it has been actually pushed under the rugs. But later on, you find these officers literally raping females openly. Tuning you into their wives, and to the extent, guys, and I hope children are now watching, fathers raping their own children. It is unfortunately one of those things happening in Rwanda today. Today, there are fathers who who've been who have turned their children into wives, going into all kinds of really crazy cults, I think. So there is so much, guys, happening in Rwanda when it comes to sexual violences, and also female being forced to become spies and being utilized as sexual objects. Now, we've got testimonies of some of these females who have gone through it all. And they, consequently, some of them have been committing suicides. Others have been actually being killed for failure to comply. And others have contracted diseases such as HIV and AIDS, and others completely have lost their minds consequently because they've been forced into that world, that devious world. And today, as I reflect, or as we reflect for this month of April, when we remember or when we reflect sexual assault violences, and this month being that it's a sexual assault awareness month, I really want to ask a lot of you brothers and sisters in Africa to just remember your sister, remember your mother, remember your auntie, remember your granny. They look They literally look after. We gotta make sure that we protect them. They look up to us for that protection, especially among some of our big brothers, our fathers, our uncles, those who those who may be mentally sick, to the extent that they are literally raping our sisters, raping our aunties, our mothers, and so on. This is something that's a very sensitive subject. It is one of those subjects that you will barely hear an African male discussing or talking about. But I believe that we have been lacking in doing our due diligence to protect our sisters, to protect our mothers, to protect our aunties, our grannies, our wives. For those of you who have wives and all of that, and I believe that we need to turn the clock around. We literally need to turn the clock around. And those of you who have been forced to become slaves, those of you who have been forced to become there is a name, there's a dignified name that they give you these days. I don't want to use that name. It's like the government is giving you. It's like a call girl, professional. They've got all kinds of name. They call you some sort of consultant. I mean, I don't want to go there, but a lot of you guys have been telling us stories, sad stories, and really horrific stories. How you are being used as spies. You are being used to extract information from foreigners when they come to Rwanda, or when you are sent outside of Rwanda to sway lawmakers and to ensure that the interest of Rwanda, it's being looked after by you being subjected to all kinds of sexual activities, especially when unwillingly. So these are the things happening, and we know that some of you are becoming brave enough to actually speak up. And actually, there is a case going on currently in Rwanda among Miss Rwanda, where one of the CEO has been taken to custody by the local law enforcement, by the local forces, by the police, because of sexual assault allegations. And it's one of those things that's taking place right now in the country. And surprisingly, the first lady convened a meeting with all the misses in the country, telling them how responsible that they must be able to utilize the platforms, and reiterating, how she's a mother. She basically trying to boost their morale, guys. But really looking after all of that, how much are we really doing to protect our sisters, to protect our aunties, to protect our mothers, to protect our grannies? This is something that I'm so ashamed to say that we're not doing a whole lot. Again, we pass all these amazing laws, but you still find a girl who's dumped somewhere in the slums, who's been killed because either she has failed in a mission, or who's contracted an HIV by an officer, a law enforcement officer, who rapes or who's raped her and has no consequences. Meeting a government official who just want to take you in, just like you can pick a chicken, you can pick any animal in a store, and you have nothing to say about that. These things are happening, guys, in 2022. It is happening to our sisters, our aunties. It is happening to women legislators in Rwanda. Surprisingly, most of you don't know that. But that's one of those things that's happening. So a lot of these women, they have a lot of horrific stories to tell, except they haven't been protected enough to come forward. And this makes it a little bit difficult for us also, because we've been engaged into recording a lot of testimonies. And a lot of these testimonies, there is one thing in common, especially for our sisters, our aunties, our mothers, and our grannies. it's sexual violence committed against them. Literally from 20 to 32 years back up to date. A female in Rwanda, a female in Central Africa, in the Great Lakes region, a female in the in this region of East African community. It's literally a females that they are in danger. You have politicians who are using them. You have government institutions using them as weapons, and you also have thugs outside also hunting for them. You also have these commercial companies literally abducting them for sexual entertainment. I mean, it's left and right, up and down. Females are in danger in Africa. Females are in danger in East African communities. Female are in danger in Rwanda. And as we literally bring the awareness of these atrocities being committed, let's also get together and literally speak up. If you've been a victim, if you are one of those victims, I would love for you guys to give us a call. We literally have professionals who actually do this sort of work. We would love to get you contact, to get your information, and link you up with the right people to help you. And I shall also add that this is strictly confidential, guys. We do not go around and broadcast this publicly. The only thing that we do, we actually raise the awareness. We may take the data and share it publicly so that we can actually have a little bit more visibility, because it's really important. It's very important that we end sexual violences against our sisters, our mothers, our aunties, our grannies. And until all of us we are doing it, it's not gonna go away, guys. It is not going to go away. Let me give you just a little bit of some of the things which been happening, especially in the United States. There is a campaign. There's a campaign against sexual violence, and I believe there are quite a lot of organizations running the campaign. Even the administration has passed some of the rigorous pieces of legislatures aimed at stopping sexual violences against women. I can give you a little bit of timeline. Some of the most important pieces of legislature that's been helping, and I would really hope that Africa as a whole, even the East African community, the Great Lakes region, Rwanda, can actually also just push more towards helping our sisters and some of our brothers against some of these pedophiles. So President Obama, back in 2009, I believe he enacted the sexual assault awareness month. I think it started back in 2009, and it was officially recognized by the White House. And I believe, if my memory serves me correct, President Barack Obama started the sexual assault awareness month back in 2009. And we also have a Violence Against Women Act, a piece of legislature that was also passed way back in the 90s. I think it was in 1994. And that was actually one of the good pieces of legislature that I think has also been helping women. And I also remember in 2001 when the Sexual Violence Resources Center here in the United States got together, and they started different, various campaigns aimed at stopping sexual assault and sexual violences against our sisters, but sexual violence in general. Even though right now I am talking about our sisters and all of that. So I really would hope that as a community, especially as brothers and sisters, African brothers and sisters, if our sister being utilized as weapons, sexual weapons, we gotta stop these guys. This is inhumane treatment. We know that during the wars, especially the Rwandan war, a lot of females were raped up and down. They were literally raped. And then later on, after 1994, you have the Intsinzi, they dubbed Intsinzi rapes. These were like dignified rapes, accepted by the Rwandan Patriotic Front. And up to this very day, I have yet to read a single case of any of the Rwandan Patriotic Front soldiers who were actually faced justice against these rapes. Fast forward throughout this whole time period, now sexual violences are being utilized as a weapon to silence females in particular, but also to subjugate you towards all kinds of work unwillingly. You refuse, you get raped, and then you lose your ubuntu. You lose your humanity. So I really want to appeal to you guys. Let's fight against these sexual violences, these sexual crimes against our sisters, our mothers, our aunties, our grannies. It's literally happening, guys, and it's happening in such horrendous ways, and in many ways, especially when they take it, when they take it upon themselves to even traffic you as sexual objects. Especially like right now, that a lot of you are refugees. You can't even go to the police. If you don't have any papers, you get raped. Nothing happens. You're afraid to go to the police because they will take you in custody, and the next thing you know, you get deported from whichever nation that you may be in. So a lot of our sisters, a lot of our female are literally in terror from various situations. Especially those who are refugees are really, really, really susceptible to this violence against, to these sexual assaults against women, and very little it's being done. The data is horrific, guys, and we will take some time to actually do a much bigger, very detailed conversation with permission, because some of the reports that we have are still confidential. We'll do our best to clean it so that we can actually share some of these horrific stories with you guys without revealing some of these personal, identifiable information. But I would hope that all of you guys are listening right now. You can take some time and encourage that sister who's been a victim of sexual violence, that mom, that auntie, that grandmother who's been a victim of sexual violence, and actually, get them some help. There are organizations, non-profit organizations, even sometimes government institutions, of which are there to render the help. So even us, we do have a department that actually does help those of you guys in that predicament. And I would love it for you guys to reach out to some of these amazing people. I am very sure that they will be there. They will be there to support you. They will be there to give you a shoulder to cry, and they will be there to protect you and be in a position to actually help you seek justice, especially that justice is not rendered oftentimes for you, our sisters, our African sisters. And we want to make sure that we turn around the tables when it comes to these sexual violences against you, our beloved. And so I want to end it there and let you know that those of you who are in that predicament, please, you can reach out to us using the numbers. I hope that they put it out there. Send us an email on info@afridominion.com, and we will connect you with some of our professional counselors that we work with, and they can actually they can help you guys. We have our own in-house also collaborators and counselors who also help tremendously our brothers and sisters when it comes to this sexual violence, sexual assault, because I mean, the entire nation, guys, has been going through that. Be it a stigma, be it violences, being blackmailing, you name it. It's a part of one of those diseases that we are doing our very best to cure. So let me leave it up to that, because I did not want to get deep into it, but I'm a bit also sensitive. I feel sensitive about that because I have sisters, I have cousins, I have mothers, I have grandmothers, I have aunties, and it makes me angry sometimes when when we're seeing our sisters, our female sisters, mothers, being raped, being utilized as objects of sexual entertainment services, being sold into slavery for sexual entertainment. So many heinous acts being committed against them, and so little has being done to protect them. So, guys, I literally would love it that we speak a little bit more, not just for 1 month in a whole year. I really want to encourage a lot of you brothers and sisters to please come out and give us a hand, so we can be able to help our sisters. One of our viewers is saying victims of rape were forbidden to talk about it. Yes, that is true, because the perpetrators remained in power for a whole generation, and then another 2 years after the April 6th assassination of the two presidents. That is so true. That's one of the real happenings right now, guys. A lot of these victims, the perpetrators are still in power, from the very high office, literally going all the way down. Some of them, they get raped publicly, and the videos are leaked, or for whatever reason, you get to know the perpetrators. So we would love to have we would love to have the ecosystem where we can actually protect them and seek justice on their behalf, and have them come forward and talk about this these crimes in a such way that they are not going to be retaliated against, because there is so much retaliation when it comes to sexual violences, and they make sure that if one girl speaks, either she ends up dead, and it causes the rest of them from speaking up. So let's figure out ways to really engage our sisters and protect them, and also fight on their behalf, so that this doesn't continue, especially in Africa, because it's a big business, unfortunately. And us male, we participate into it so much, and I would hope that we can actually also come forward in huge numbers and fight against it or denounce it for what it's worth. Another piece of the last thing I want to talk about, which continues to come, it's that deal, the UK London deal. I had promised you guys that we don't want to keep on spending airtime on it, but one of the new things that's developing is that in the UK it's having such a hard time to pass through, even though they say it's gonna pass anyway. But now they're talking about bringing in those illegal immigrants through private jets. And the bird on the street, it's saying that that Rwanda might be getting the deal of transporting these refugees also. Guys, we're talking about money, and we are hustler, guys. There's no shame in being a businessman. But you know that the Kagame's family, they own private jets. So the word in the street is UK is considering to to give the deal to Kagame Enterprise, to his private jet enterprise, to bring in the illegals. Okay, now I want to put it out here. That's the word on the street. However, if you look into the UK's newspapers, they publicly are saying that, you know what, regular aviation companies, they are actually trying to run away from transporting these, these illegal immigrants, out of the fear that they will actually receive backlashes and disrupt their businesses. And from the look of it, they don't want to, they don't want to be subject of backlashes towards the public over just a couple thousand potential refugees. So far, we know 4,000 that have to be transported to Rwanda. So props up to Kagame Enterprise, the president of Rwanda, or his aviation enterprise. The word on the street is that they are going to be getting the deal to transport those illegals to Rwanda. So you go figure, guys. Check that out and see exactly who's going to be landing that deal of bringing in those refugees. I wanted to leave you with that because the more you're slicing it, this comes down to pure business, guys. And it doesn't matter how it's being. Presented to you guys. The deal has been stricken. Money is being exchanged. In whose interest? Certainly not the Rwandese people. I can tell you that. Certainly not the Rwandese people. And also some of the reports. A lot of these refugees, or the so-called illegal immigrants, they don't want to go to Rwanda. They didn't cross Africa thousands and thousands of miles away coming to Rwanda. France and the bordering countries of the United Kingdom, everybody is quiet as a mouse. Because however you look at it, however you see it, it's bound to be an explosive bomb. Thank God the French just got out of the elections. So whatever goes is whatever goes right now. There is little ramification to the political backlash in France. But in the UK, the backlash is real. In Rwanda, there is zero backlash. There's zero backlash over that. Though the presidency of Rwanda talked about it briefly, and they said there's no problem. Meaning, whatever the presidency says, the rest of the Rwandese population follows. That's just how things goes in Rwanda. And I want to find out from you guys, at what point are we going to claim our rights as citizens, guys? As a citizen of any nation, specifically now you Africans, whichever country that you come from, there is something they call citizenship. With citizenship, there is also legal rights that is actually rendered to you. So at what point are you going to exercise the legal rights, the inalienable rights, not just as human beings, but as legal citizens of various nations within Africa, to stop a lot of these horrific crimes taking place, be it sexual violence assault, sexual violence crimes against you, sisters, even some brothers, be it these illegal immigrants, and you being mistreated as refugees, but also being that you also want to be dignified. You want to live a life of dignity. A life where you're not being bombarded, where you're not being you're not being killed left and right, up and down, by who you are as a person, or whatever country that you may be coming from. At what point are you going to see your rights? Are you going to actually fight for your rights, brothers and sisters in Africa? I want to leave you with that because we are in such tremendous times where we're seeing so much evil happening, and we have little to no help. A lot of us males, we no longer call out, we no longer fight, we no longer advocate for good things to happen. Very few are advocating, but the majority, they've become mind my own business. They don't want to know, they don't want to have any part of it, especially if it has anything to do with money. As long as you don't touch their money, they'll do whatever it is that you ask them to do. Such cases, what you see in Rwanda. The majority of people cannot speak up in Rwanda because of money, financial gain. And others are just plain out afraid of the government and the backlashes from within the government. So we need to regroup. We need to get back together and protect our sisters from these sexual violences, being committed to them daily. We also need to protect our brothers and sisters who are fleeing various nations, including Rwanda, to seek and to be given refuge, especially that it is also a right that they have to live a life free of assault, free of being retaliated against. A decent life where they can actually secure their families and do some of the things that they cannot do when they are being bombarded, when they are being sexually abused. So guys, let's get together and fight on behalf of our brothers and sisters all over Africa. My heart goes out to all of you who have been victims of sexual violences. We love you guys. We love you, and we would love nothing more than to literally be your voices whenever, wherever you want us to be. And those of you who would wishes to connect with us, guys, we have a special program that's being prepared where we would love to actually to bring more visibility to this pandemic of sexual violences, especially towards our brothers and sisters, and in particular our sisters within Africa, because most of them are being killed daily due to sexual violences, due to a lot of these heinous activities, sexual sexual entertainment services, and they're dying consequently. So my heart goes to all of you guys who've been victims, but also want to assure you guys that we here at Afri Dominion, we want to do whatever it is that we can to also protect you as your brothers. And we can promise you that publicly if you are one of those victims, and if you are one of those advocates, if you have an advocacy group, or if you're doing any sort of advocacy work, please, we would love nothing more than actually lending you a hand as well. So with that in mind, guys, we are ending our program today. I want to wish you guys a super fantastic week. And again, given that we have so much going on, especially that this is the month of the month we recognize sexual violence, we bringing out the awareness against sexual violences. So those of you guys find some resources online. One of the resources that I think it's relevant for you guys to check out. Actually, I'm not allowed. I was gonna give you guys some of these services online. I'm wondering if we can actually do that. Never mind, guys. I was gonna give you some of the resources, but if you type on Google or any one of these search engine, guys, just type in a sexual assault awareness month. You have some of these organizations doing some fantastic work, guys, and I would really ask that you check some of them out, because they're doing a lot of work. In particular, guys, I think I'm allowed to actually mention the National Sexual Violence Research Center. That one I'm allowed to mention. Check them out, guys. Check them out. They're doing some amazing work. Those of you who didn't listen, it's called National Sexual Violence Research Center here in the United States, but also in your various nations. Please check them out. Find the resources, and if you are one of those organizations actually who is involved into sexual assault awareness projects or works, please reach us out. We will literally share your work and help you to the best of our ability. Thank you so much, guys. I'm Freeman Singirankabo. Again, apologies for such a late start, guys. We had another program that overlapped with this one, and hence we were not able to really bring you all that we wanted to discuss with you for this particular Friday. Nonetheless, we love you still, and I want to wish you guys a super fantastic week. Those of you guys who have some feedbacks or want to get in touch with us as it relates to Sexual Assault Awareness Month, reach us out at info@afridominion.com, info@afridominion.com, and check some other information available also on the website www.afridominion.com. With that in mind, guys, I am Freeman Singirankabo. I wish you all a great weekend. Those of you guys who are going to start your weekend early, and my sisters, Oliver, we love you guys, and a happy month. Happy Sexual Assault Awareness Month to those of you guys who are doing a lot of this advocacy work. Thank you so much for the love towards our sisters, our mothers, our aunties, our wives. We really love you guys. Until next time, I am Freeman Singirankabo with Afri Dominion. So long for now.